I'm going to teach you some common phrases that you absolutely need to know. They're that common. And I'm going to tell you the meaning, talk a little bit about how they're used in context, as well as go over the pronunciation so you can say them just like a native speaker. We will begin with some B1 phrases, which are really at an intermediate level, and then move into some B2 phrases, which are mostly upper intermediate. And I promise you will learn something new. So let's begin with the phrase in advance. This means before a particular time or before doing a particular thing. And often you're going to use this phrase at the end of a sentence or clause. I could say, we should prepare the presentation in advance. I think it's smart to do things in advance. Or maybe I tell you, you don't need to pay for these lessons in advance. Okay, you don't need to pay for them at all. They're free. Now, when pronouncing this phrase, there is some linking that may occur. This is when we link the final consonant sound of one word with the beginning vowel sound of the next word. So we can link the final consonant sound in with the vowel sound in advance. And it's almost like we're just moving that consonant sound over to the next word or syllable. So it's going to sound like in advance. In advance. I want you to just listen closely for that linking.
We're booked months in advance. We don't do solo acts. I've got nothing for you.
Okay, thanks.
Art, you deserve a wedding day that, unlike our children, was planned in advance.
Now, if you would like to get notified when I come out with new vocabulary lessons, sometimes in advance, not always, then please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English, which is all about trying to help you reach your fluency goals. So let's continue. Now is not the time to take it easy. And that's the next phrase that I want to talk to you about. Take it easy. So you could say take it easy or take things easy. And these phrases have a couple of different meanings, and we'll talk about both. The first meaning is to rest, relax, or avoid hard work. And you could really use either, but as you can see, it is more common to just say take it easy. So I could say, when I'm on vacation, I like to take it easy. And yes, that's true. Or, my doctor told me I should take things easy.
Everyone recovers differently. I'm still taking it easy.
It also means to stay or become calm. And in this case, you're really going to use take it easy, and you will use it more as a command. So I could say, hey, don't be mad, take it easy. Or take it easy, you need to calm down.
Look, just calm down, all right? Take it easy. Calm.
So you may be wondering, what is it? Like, what does it mean in this case? Let's dive into some grammar right now. With this phrase, the word it is referred to as a dummy pronoun or a dummy subject. It really has no specific meaning, it's just a grammar function. When pronouncing this phrase, the final T in it, I am going to pronounce it as a flap T. It's going to sound more like a soft D. And this is very common with the American accent because I am from the United States, and it often occurs when the T comes between two vowel sounds. And then we can just link this entire phrase, and it's going to sound like take it easy. Can you hear that soft D? Take it easy. Now, if you are someone who likes to relax and take things easy while practicing English, because, well, that's a great way to learn the language, then there's an amazing app that I'd like to tell you about, ELSA Speak, who is the sponsor of today's lesson. This useful app will help you fine-tune your pronunciation and practice your speaking skills. And right now, I want to show you some of the cool features when you join ELSA Premium, because now you can have a back and forth conversation using their AI feature.
Welcome to ELSA AI. Please select one of the following role plays.
I can even create my own scenario. I want to have a conversation with a good friend at their apartment talking about my upcoming job interview, and I feel a little nervous.
Hey, it's so great to see you.
Thanks for having me over. I really appreciate it because, to be honest, I'm a little worried about my job interview tomorrow.
What are you specifically worried about?
Well, I'm just a little nervous because I think there's a lot of competition and I really could use this job and I really want to stand out.
I completely understand. Have you been practicing your responses to common interview questions?
I'm familiar with some common interview questions that employers might ask, but I think I could probably use a bit more practice.
You just need to believe in yourself and show them what you're capable of.
You've given me a lot of good things to think about for my interview tomorrow, but I really need to get going. I appreciate your help.
Of course, anytime, and good luck with the interview.
Role play completed. We are computing your feedback.
And then after the role play, you get a full assessment of your conversation with in-depth feedback when it comes to pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. Another cool feature, you can also use ELSA's speech analyzer from your desktop and get immediate feedback whenever you have a meeting or give a presentation or practice for an exam like the IELTS. There's just so much to help you improve. So join ELSA Premium today by clicking on the link down in the description and you can get 30% off a 1-year membership. And if you already have a pro membership, you can upgrade with the new ELSA Conversation Bundle. Once again, check out my unique link in the description to get an ELSA Premium membership and take your speaking fluency to the next level. Let's continue with these common and useful phrases, and the next one that I have for you is in the end. This means finally, eventually, after something has been talked about or discussed a lot, or really it's like the final result in a series of events, or just the final conclusion after considering all relevant facts. And often you're going to use this phrase either at the beginning or end of a sentence or clause. We were thinking about eating Mexican food, but in the end, we decided to get sushi. So that was the final result. Or I could say, in the end, we are all English learners. After taking all the facts into consideration, I could say that because I learn new things about the language each and every day. Now, don't confuse this phrase with the phrase at the end, which is really referring to a specific point at the end of some activity, like at the end of the story or at the end of the movie. Let me show you some news headlines so you can get a better idea as to how this phrase is used in context. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. I think this is a well-known quote from Martin Luther King, or this is from soccer. In the end, Spartans were on the mark. And then Succession finale explained, Logan won again in the end. Great show in case you haven't seen it. For pronunciation, the only thing that I want to point out is that the article the has a strong and weak form. The weak form is most common. You will use the schwa sound, that unstressed when the next word begins with a consonant sound, and you'll say the. The strong form, the, you will use when the next word begins with a vowel sound, like it does with our phrase. So you will say in the end. In the end, I hope that you pronounce this phrase correctly. The next phrase, drag and drop. We're talking about computers now. This means to move something from one area to another while using the mouse. And this is actually a binomial pair. This is when you have a pair of words linked by a conjunction, like the phrase loud and clear, drag and drop, which is a relatively new phrase because we're talking about computers, and who knows, maybe this phrase will become outdated at some point because things change quickly when it comes to technology. But often you'll use this phrase when talking about files, documents, or pictures. Just drag and drop the files to upload them. When pronouncing this phrase, keep in mind that the conjunction and is often reduced in spoken English, and it's just going to sound like N. And then we can link the final consonant sound in drag with that beginning vowel sound. So it's going to sound like drag and drop. Drag and drop. To make a face. I like this phrase because it means to make a strange expression with your face, especially to show that you don't like someone or something. And that's really the key here. You're making that face to show that you just don't like this person or thing. Let me give you some examples. You may make a face when someone takes your favorite toy. You may make a face when you eat something you don't like. You may make a face when your best friend starts dating your ex-boyfriend.
Here it burns, brother.
Cut. Why are you making that face?
I wasn't making a face.
We gave him the drinking dog.
Apparently it didn't take.
Nadine's making a face.
You're making that face again.
I didn't make a face. I just, there's a party for someone I know.
For pronunciation, once again, there's more linking. This is so common in spoken English. We can link the final consonant sound in make with that vowel sound with the article a. Make a. To make a face. I hope that you are not making a face while watching this lesson. The next phrase, or I should say phrases, wait a minute, wait a moment, wait a second. And you can use these phrases in several different situations. These phrases may be said when interrupting someone, or when you're trying to get someone's attention, or when you have suddenly thought of something important. One thing I want to point out is that you're not literally talking about a minute, a second, or a moment. You'll just use these phrases when you find yourself in those different situations. So let's use these phrases in those situations just to reinforce the meaning. So let's say you're trying to get someone's attention.
Anyhow, I am out.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry I yelled at you. I was too proud to admit I was lonely.
How about when you suddenly realize or think of something?
Well, mystery solved.
Wait a moment.
And of course, when interrupting someone.
They look even better on Ben's floor.
Are you hitting on less for me?
Wait a second. Just turn around.
What?
For pronunciation, the final T in wait, I am going to pronounce it as a flap T. Once again, it's going to sound like a soft D, which is very common in places like the United States. And then we can link that flap T with the vowel sound in that article, a. Wait a minute. Wait a moment. Wait a second. Can you hear that linking? Let's move on to some B2 phrases, and I told you at the beginning that these phrases are more upper intermediate, but still commonly used in conversational English. And the first B2 phrase that I want to teach you is to make matters worse. And you could really use this phrase with to or without to. Without to, it means to make the situation even more unpleasant or difficult. And really, you would use this when advising someone. I could say, be careful or you could make matters worse. Or keep your mouth shut or else you'll make matters worse.
Dangerous as this is, involving the NYPD can make matters worse.
When we use to with this phrase, it's used to say that something has made a bad or difficult situation even worse. So we would say the bad situation and then add to make matters worse, and finally add the thing that, well, made the situation worse. So I could say, schools are overcrowded, and to make matters worse, many teachers plan to retire next year.
She's unjustifiably arrogant about loop quantum gravity. Make matters worse, she's often mean to me.
When pronouncing this phrase, you may often hear a weak to. It's going to sound more like t with that schwa sound. It's a very slight soft sound. And once again, I am going to pronounce those T's in matters as a flap T. To make matters worse. Say it with me. To make matters worse. Good. Then there's the phrase run into. This is a phrasal verb that actually has two meanings. The first one is to drive a vehicle into an object or into a person in another vehicle by accident. And mostly when you use this, you are talking about cars, but not always if you run into someone or run into something. It also means to meet someone when you are not expecting it. So you are out somewhere on the street and you run into a friend and it was not planned. Let's look at some memes and jokes using this phrase so you can see how it's used in context. I like this first one. My girlfriend ran into her fitness instructor while on vacation. Small world. Yeah, I don't know if they just ran into each other and it was unexpected. Anyway, The next one. He ran into my knife 10 times. So yes, this is a joke. I don't think anybody wants to run into a knife. Once again, mostly you would use this when talking about cars and you run into someone or run into something. And then I ran into my ex today. I was so excited, I backed up the car and hit him again. So this uses both meanings in order to be funny and create the joke, like you ran into your ex, like you unexpectedly met, but then really it's referring to actually hitting this person with their car. When pronouncing this phrase, more linking will occur. We can link the final consonant sound in run with the beginning vowel sound in into, run into. To run into someone or to run into something. Then we have the phrase from out of nowhere, or we could just say out of nowhere. This means very suddenly or unexpectedly. This is an adverb phrase that you would use to give more information or even add emphasis. And often you're going to use this phrase with the verb come. I could say the horse came out of nowhere to win the race. Or the flying object appeared from out of nowhere. And it just appeared suddenly. For pronunciation, the final T in out, I am going to pronounce it as a flap T, and then I can link that with the vowel sound in of, out of nowhere. Just listen for that flap T and linking.
A businessman and a woman with a little dog came out of nowhere and forced him onto a...
And right before he's about to throw the first punch, Katie comes out of nowhere, steps right between us, and starts screaming the lyrics to Hotel California.
Next is the phrase neither nor. And you can use this phrase to talk about two or more things that are not true. I could say, I have neither the time nor inclination to get involved in someone else's drama. And this is a little bit of a collocation, to have neither something nor inclination to do something. An inclination is just referring to your desire. So I could say that I have neither the time nor inclination, or I have neither the resources nor inclination, or I have neither the energy nor inclination to do something. Let's look at some more news headlines so you can see how this phrase is used in context. Neither the US nor China seem intent on meaningful diplomacy. Despite interests, neither students nor employers favor skills over a college degree. And neither science nor religion support overturning Roe. And in case you're wondering, this is referring to the court case in the United States, Roe v. Wade, which has to do with abortion. When it comes to pronouncing this phrase, I think it's pretty simple and straightforward. You're just going to say both of these words, neither nor. Neither something nor something else. Neither nor. On top of something. This phrase means in addition to something, especially something unpleasant. So you're going to say something unpleasant and then use this phrase and follow it with that. We missed our bus. And on top of that, the next one we took had mechanical problems.
My girlfriend's dead! And on top of that, it's that time in late summer before football starts and there's no basketball.
We're going to make your clients whole. A check for the 46 and change right now. And on top of that, we'll give you another $46K to cover your expenses.
I know basically nothing about Vietnamese cuisine. And on top of that, I got COVID a few months ago and I lost my sense of smell and taste.
For pronunciation, surprise, surprise, more linking may occur. We can link the final consonant sound in top with the beginning vowel sound in of. Top of. On top of something. And then we have the latter. This means near or towards the end of something. And that's really the meaning of latter, but because we're talking about something specific, we're going to use this with the article the latter. And there are some useful collocations with this phrase. We can talk about the latter part of something. Construction will begin in the latter part of the month. Or he got injured during the latter part of the match. I could also talk about the latter half of something. I was born in the latter half of the 20th century. Or the latter half of the movie was much more captivating. For pronunciation, there are two things. Because I've already mentioned the strong and weak the, in this case, we're going to use that weak the with the schwa sound because the next word begins with a consonant sound. And of course, you'll hear me pronounce those T's as a flat T, the latter. The latter part of something, the latter half of something. Now for a little review. And I am warning you in advance that I am going to use many of these phrases just to reinforce the meaning. So I'm thrilled that you have made it through the latter half of the lesson because, you know, some people think they have neither the time nor inclination to watch a 20-minute video. And on top of that, some people think that building vocabulary, it's just not that important. And I completely disagree. And to be honest, it even makes me a little angry. And I have to tell myself, wait a second, Wes, you need to calm down, take it easy. And of course, I'm hopeful that in the end, people will realize how important and valuable it is to build your vocabulary the same way you realize how important it is, and therefore you will continue to improve your English fluency. So I gotta wrap things up here, and look, there's no need to make a face. I'm sure that's the last thing that you want to hear, but I'm confident that we will run into each other again very soon, and we will, especially if you watch another video lesson. If you enjoyed the lesson and learned something new, please hit that like button. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. So long.